Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase, and I'm here with a very important message. We are at a turning point in the Black community where we must have equity in the apps we use that scale to billions of dollars. But this time, we own the infrastructure, we own the culture, and we shape the future. And Fanbase is the future. Fanbase combines the free functionality of Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube into an all-in-one platform built for the evolution of social media and monetization. With over 1.4 million users, that's real proof that we are shifting the conversation of tech ownership and equity for creators. So right now, I want you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. This marks a turning point in Black ownership of social media. If we don't take this opportunity to own social media right now, we will always be customers to our own creations. And that can't go on. So once again, go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. We must own the platforms where our voices live, our stories matter, and where our culture drives the world. Thank you.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Today is Friday, December 19th, 2025. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. The Kennedy Center now has Donald Trump's name on it. Yeah, but we're not going to call it that. D.C. Police Chief Pamela Smith tells critics F you and storms out in the fiery speech. But maybe it's not what you're thinking. Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, now run by a Project 2025 insider, proposes rules that could revive modern-day redlining. Yeah, that's actually happening. Also, folks, lots to break down in politics as well. More craziness coming from this nonsensical administration, including attacks on African Americans. Plus, we'll get ready for the college football playoffs. Matt team didn't make it. And also, I'm going to shout out my Texas A&M volleyball team who play for the national championship tomorrow. Matt school also didn't make it. It's time to bring the funk. I'm Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, y'all. It's Roland Martin, rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
Well, the narcissist individual sitting in the Oval Office, well, you know exactly what happened here. He slaps his name on everything because he's so desperate for attention. Well, now that's the case. This here is a photo of the Kennedy Center, the John F. Kennedy Memorial Center for Performing Arts. This is, again, what is called the John F. Kennedy Memorial Center for Performing Arts. Well, poor little, this little child, the Kennedy Center board supposedly unanimously voted to put his name on because he saved it. And then he gave an interview. He's like, in the Oval Office, I was just surprised. I was surprised it happened. Here's the thing, though, y'all. This is how childish it is. First of all, you just can't just rename stuff with an executive order. This was dictated by Congress. But you know what? That idiot would never, ever accept that reality. And so that's the deal. But, and so talking about, just really screwing with a venerable institution in this country, facility they broke ground on it in December 1964, a year after the assassination of John F. Kennedy in Dallas. But again, when you're dealing with a child, that's what you are dealing with. And so he is attacking all of these systems. And in fact, if you want to understand, what's going on here, you got to realize how, again, shameful and despicable this individual is. He is desperate. He is desperate for attention. There's no amount of attention. I mean, did he not get enough as a child? But that's exactly who he is. And so he wants to destroy numerous institutions. Robert Rice, former labor secretary, put out a pretty interesting video I thought was interesting. I'm going to go to that in a second, where he talked about what we're dealing with here with this petulant child, this individual who calls himself first of all, we don't know what the hell he even called himself. And again, when we're talking about a venerable institution, this here, of course, is the Kennedy Center right here. This is a Reuters video showing, and of course, the Trump folks are like, oh my God, it was falling apart. It was in disrepair. They had been losing money. And talk about, all of these donations that Trump has been now getting. Well, here's the problem with that. Their giving and donations are down in a huge way. A huge, huge way. They're down in a huge way. But again, when you're dealing with a child, this is how children act. And I'm telling you right now, I saw one, Tim Shriver, of course, Kennedy relative said, hey, whoever's the next Democratic president, we're going to take a chisel to that sucker. Michael Imhotep, host African History Network show out of Detroit. Matt Manning, Civil Rights Attorney, Corpus Christi. Win Cooney, CEO, co-founder of Politicking. Glad to have y'all here. Win Cooney, listen, this This is par for the course who this idiot is. The Institute of Peace, he slapped his name on that, and that's the whole. That's his thing. You have to feed his ego, and surely these Republicans are going to get tired of feeding the massive ego of this grown-ass 80-year-old child.
I don't know if the Republicans are going to get tired of it, actually. It seems like they've gotten quite good at it. But it is sad because the Kennedy Center has been heralded worldwide as a center for the intelligentsia, as a center for the performing arts and fine arts. And now it bears the name of a man who probably will go down in history as one of the worst presidents of the United States. And in addition, it's insulting to put his name up there alongside President Kennedy's name. You know, President Kennedy's living grandnephew, even said that they were not happy that this is something that's illegal and it was named by federal law, as you mentioned. And you can't just go around renaming historical relics in this way. The other thing that was concerning, Roland, is that this was allegedly voted on unanimously, but you have folks like Representative Joyce Beatty, who was an ex officio officer of the board, saying that she, actually was on the call in which this was voted into action, and her microphone was silenced multiple times on the call. And it's really sad that there is just no voice for dissent in this administration, and they've continued to prove that over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, we know exactly what we get here. We get a child. That's what he is. He is a grown-ass child, Michael, and he wants to, he's destroying the East Wing. He wants to erect this massive ballroom. He's fired the architect. It's just a whole big heap of mess over there right now. No one knows what the hell is going on. And so this is just a pure idiot we're now looking at.
Yeah, he's a pure idiot, and this is, followed up by the Wednesday 18-minute debacle by the petulant child-in-chief, who just stood there and just went on, just rambled on and told lie after lie after lie after lie about how great the country is, how great the economy is. So here you have, another dictator fascist move from Donald Trump, the traitor-in-chief, putting his name on adding his name to the Kennedy Center. Now it's the Trump Kennedy Center. But
no, it's not. No, it is not the Trump Kennedy Center. It is the Kennedy Center. That is the only Congress can change names.
Right.
It is the Kennedy. It's the Kennedy Center.
That's what I was about to say. Only Congress can change it. It's a federal law. Only Congress can change it. Okay. So somebody's calling it the Trump Kennedy Center. Okay. It's still officially the Kennedy Center. The same way the Department of Defense is still the Department of Defense, even though they want to call it the Department of War. Okay. So once again, that goes to my point. I was about to make, Roland. We're on the same page here. He just tries to force, either by executive order or by putting people on a board to then vote and do things that are illegal, try to make them legal. This is what's taking place. But once again, these are the dictator moves. This was all predicted. And I know when Cooney said Republicans keep going along with this, but look at the number of Republicans in the House who have announced that they're not running for re-election or are retiring. As recently as today, Representative Stefanik has announced that she's not running for re-election and she's dropping out of the governor's race of New York. So some Republicans have had enough of this as well.
Well, that may be the case, but you still have massive ass kissers. And one of the biggest ass kissers, Matt, is this idiot Lindsey Graham. I mean, you talk about a true idiot. Let me pull up this tweet here. I mean, it's like, dude, really? I mean, this is how bad you are at this. He was just sitting here going, oh my God, this is just so amazing. This is what this fool said. This is Lindsey Graham, okay? You thought this person used to have a sense of integrity and decency. This well-deserved honor has been given to President Trump because he has poured his heart and soul into refurbishing and revitalizing the now Trump Kennedy Center, a national cultural icon. I have been intricately involved in helping President Trump seek funding to structurally improve the facility and give it a much-needed facelift. It has been an honor to work with President Trump and his team on this project. I've witnessed President Trump's passion to modernize this iconic venue and believe the renovations and modernization efforts will have long-lasting effects for the benefit of our nation. Congratulations, Mr. President. Again, this is well-deserved. That's a massive amount of ass-kissing in one tweet.
Yeah, I mean, it's supreme bootlicking, and I really don't see why you think you need to do that if you're Lindsey Graham, especially with the president who at least constitutionally cannot be reelected. We know he's, sent shots across the bow indicating he's going to try to be there for a third term. But presuming the Constitution and reasonable minds prevent that from happening, then I don't understand what the means to the end is for Lindsey Graham, especially as I think you're starting to see cracks in the Republican ranks. I think Michael's point is exactly right. They're starting to get worried about their reelection prospects and are starting to jump ship, especially when you have somebody like Stefanik, who I think is otherwise, beating the MAGA drum, jumping out of everything altogether. That to me really calls something calls it into question. But what I think is especially interesting about this Kennedy Center, him attempting to co-opt it, is the fact that Kennedy's nephew is in his administration. Now, obviously, RFK is broken with his family, but that's a huge slap in the face, right? This is named after your uncle, and the guy who's attempting to be the dictator has decided to just slap his name on it without any authority. And I want to highlight one of the viewers in the YouTube chat, because I always see insightful things there, named Corden84, and they said something very important. They said, Roland, you're saying that he's not supposed to do that, or rather he can't do that. But we have to reframe the language. Not only can he not do that, he's not supposed to do that. And what we're seeing with Republicans is they're trying to play it both sides, right? They're trying to say the law should be used as a sword and a shield. But if the law very clearly names this the Kennedy Center and it can't be changed except for by congressional action, then we cannot allow him to have an executive order that purports to allow him to do something other than that. I mean, you've got to stand up at some point and say that's not how the process works. And if we're going to say the process must be followed in these other respects, then we can't allow him to deviate from it here. And we know that they're not doing that. That's obviously been their track record for both of his administrations. But particularly now, as their reelection prospects loom on the horizon, I would think they would be planting the flag towards keeping themselves, self-preservation, right? Keeping themselves in office. And we don't see them doing that.
Yeah, this is the same person, though, who just decided, Department of War, even though same thing, you can't change it. And again, Republicans in Congress are not abiding by their constitutional duties. And so that's what we're dealing with. So it's just, this is just who these idiots are. They're just going to do stupid stuff like this all the time. Let me go to a break. We come back. We're going to talk about the economy. Isn't it amazing how even Fox News all of a sudden is kind of like, economy ain't that great. Y'all, they're scared. They're scared. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
This week on A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie, we're talking about the ups and the downs of the holidays, the ebb and flow of life, those things that keep us running and gunning. But there comes a time in each of our lives where we need to just sit down, sit back, and relax, giving you a chance to really find out who you are and how you're going to move your life forward.
How do I learn? How do I grow from this? And that's where, resilience comes.
So I'm literally walking this out in real time. It's just giving myself all the grace, all the space, all the permission that I need.
We're talking about all of these things this week on A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie here on Black Star Network.
Melanie Campbell, National Coalition on Black Civic Participation and Black Women's Roundtable. And we are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered all day, every day, 24/7. Spread the word.
Why are Republicans freaking out? Because their dear leader has been destroying the economy. Now, the place that has been totally delusional regarding the economy has been Fox News and Fox Business. Now, we showed you Maria Bartiromo the other day going, oh, no, it's not as bad as everybody thinks. Oh, when you make $10, $15, $20 million, you don't really feel the problems in the economy. But watch this segment right here.
Expenses like rent, electricity, and the cost of everyday items like beef, coffee, and seafood are still up substantially from a year ago. President Trump, of course, is looking to combat concerns that costs are still too high under his administration. He's been arguing it's the previous administration that drove the economy into the ground and that his policies are restoring it.
Really? So why are prices up? Not only that, Carolyn Levitt, who's the chief liar for Trump, she talked about how the unemployment rate is at a record low of 4.6%. I think it went down to 3.6% under Biden. So how is it a record low? This goes to show you exactly how delusional these people are. And I'm telling you, as each month goes by, Michael, as they keep refusing to release job data numbers, as they keep refusing to release inflation numbers. They can keep hiding the reports, but you cannot hide the pain from the people feeling the pain.
No, you can't hide the pain from the people feeling the pain. And this is something that was echoed this past Wednesday in that 18-minute debacle that Donald Trump did when he wanted to brag about the economy, ignore people's pain, ignore the devastating impact that his tariffs are having. It's costing the average American family an additional $1,200 to $1,700 a year. When you look at the unemployment rate, it ticked up to 4.6%. We saw only 64,000 jobs created in the month of November. And we see the African-American unemployment rate explode to 8.3%, I think it was, 8.3%. Right now, this is the same guy who told us that immigrants were taking black jobs. Well, about 1.2 million immigrants, both here documented and legally, undocumented and legally, have left the workforce, but the unemployment rate for African-Americans has exploded, but the White House doesn't want to address that. So we're seeing that this continues to bleed. We see his approval rating continue to plummet, as it should, and this was all predicted. Hashtag we tried to tell you, don't blame us, we voted for the black woman.
Well, I thought this here was pretty funny here. The labor secretary went on Fox Business, and damn, even my man here had to throw some shade at her line. Listen.
So with more people searching for jobs, the unemployment rate can tick up because that means more people are getting off the sideline and finally wanting to be part of the American economy and this workforce. And at the Department of Labor, we want to stay focused on understanding exactly where we need to send those dollars to make sure that everybody has the opportunity at the American dream.
That was an interesting diplomatic move, I'd say, to see a 4-year high for unemployment is actually kind of beneficial and good news. Madam Secretary, I'm being facetious, but I don't mean it.
No, Matt, he did mean it.
Well, he did. I like the shade, though. I mean, I think that was a very British way to do that. It's funny. But in any event, this is what we see them do, try to repackage it. And, I think either it was you, Roland, or somebody on your staff posted a clip that I saw on Instagram, I think yesterday, about this person in Congress, I can't remember which Congress member, talking about all the times the Trump administration claimed they were going to have a plan for health care and never came out with it. And I think this is very similar to that, because think about all the rhetoric we heard in the campaign last year about how, basically prices are going to go down day one. Biden's bad and he's kept your prices too high. And we're not feeling any difference. We're, right, people on the ground recognize that this stuff is not true. So for them to try to reframe even these unemployment numbers is absurd. It's insane. And it's just more rhetoric. And what we see from this administration is they don't ever call a spade a spade. They just reframe it and call it whatever they want to try to call it. But I think the problem is they're going to get called out during the elections because people are still feeling the pain in their pocketbooks. And I think there's a lot of concern right now across the United States about job retention, about keeping jobs with AI as the advent of AI continues to burgeon. So I think that's a huge issue. And it seems to me they're slow playing it and underplaying it and are trying to get sound bites rather than make sound economic decisions that chart a better course.
In fact, here was another discussion on Fox Business. Look, when they start telling truth to their white audience, it's going to be a problem.
Month.
That's 41 million homes sold on
4.13 million.
4.13 sold on an annualized basis.
Yeah.
That is not strong at all. That's just not.
Here we are.
Also, latest read on consumer sentiment. What's that number?
It surprise drop to 52.9. This is a December number. It's the final number, so it's pretty recent. Consumers are just worried about the price of things and long-run inflation expectations as well.
But with rather these dull numbers, the market seems to like it, perhaps implying that we'll get more Fed rate cuts.
Actually, the market went up a little bit on both pieces of information being slightly weaker than expected.
The weakness, I think, is attractive. Bad news is actually good news for the market. Yeah. Maybe.
Now, here's the thing that's important here, Win Cooney. They keep talking about the market. The market, though, the stock market, that's not the full picture of the American economy, because the vast number of people who don't even buy stocks and bonds. So if you keep looking at the market, that is not the barometer. And if they want to bank on that one, okay, this time next year, Republicans are going to be unpacking because they're going to be in the minority in the House and potentially the United States Senate.
For Roland, I mean, the fact of the matter is that we're plunging into a recession. And I mean, I'm not shocked by the language that Fox News is using, because it's very resemblant of how they've always framed things. It's very confusing. But the fact of the matter is that the economy is in shambles. And we know that because with Black unemployment going up, that's a signaler generally of the fact that we're plunging into a recession. When you look at how long Black people are staying unemployed, Black women being unemployed at an average of 14.5 weeks long, and Black men about 12 weeks long, compared to white women and white men at 8.6 weeks and 9.6 weeks, you see that the changes are egregious. And I think the reason why the Trump administration simply does not care about the economy's bottom falling out is because they know that it's going to affect Black people first. They always say when America sneezes, Black people get the flu. And that's exactly what we're seeing here with the economy being downtrodden. And so we really have to pay attention to this. I urge people to consider this strongly when thinking about who they're going to vote for in the 2026 elections, because these are the type of statistics that matter.
Absolutely. And so, y'all, numbers are numbers, and it's going to get worse for them. It's going to get worse, and it should get worse, because if they want, and if they think, 2026, let's keep blaming it on Biden. All right, try it. But I'm telling you, that ain't going to work. You think it's going to work. That ain't going to work. It's going to fail. All right, let me go to a break. When we come back, more on Roland Martin Unfiltered, including the outgoing D.C. police chief. Man, she laid it on the line. Wait till we show you. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
If in this country right now, you have people get up in the morning and the only thing they can think about is how many people they can hurt, and they got the power, that's the time for mourning.
For better or worse, what makes America special, it's that legal system that's supposed to protect minorities from the tyranny of the majority.
We are at a point of a moral emergency. We must raise a voice of outrage. We must raise a voice of compassion. And we must raise a voice of unity.
We are not in a crisis of party versus party. We are in a crisis of civilization, a human rights crisis, and a crisis of democracy itself. And guess what? You've been chosen to make sure that those that would destroy, those that would hate, don't have the final say, and they don't ultimately win.
Hey, I'm Tasha Cobbs, and you are watching
Roland Martin Unfiltered. But I need a little filter. I need something. Blow me out. Make me look 35.
Nothing like the truth setting off a petulant child. U.S. Senator Raphael Warnock of Georgia, also pastor of Ebenezer Baptist Church, appeared on Meet the Press, and he talked about where we stand in the society. He talked about the issue of faith. Here's what he said.
Senator, let me ask you about something else that you said in your speech. You said, my faith is not a weapon. My faith is a bridge. You also say, quote, Trumpism is a plague on the American conscience. How do you square those two ideas for people?
Yeah, as I point out, I think over the last several years, over the last 50 years and over the last year, we have seen a deepening divide between what people need from their government and what government is delivering. There's a kind of corruption, legalized bribery that attends our politics. You see it in the frustrating fight to get basic health care for ordinary citizens. Surely the wealthiest nation on the planet can afford to provide basic health care to its citizens. We suffer not from a poverty of resources, but a poverty of moral imagination. And I do think that Donald Trump, if he's better at something than anybody else, is dividing us. And I think it is a distraction. And while we are distracted and divided, we have literally witnessed the largest transfer of wealth in American history from the bottom to the top. And people are fighting. They're seeing that their costs for health care are doubling while Congress engages in everyday political games. They're seeing their utility costs go up, their grocery costs go up. And meanwhile, the president is saying that he would rate this economy an A+++. The question for me is, who is he talking about? Clearly his friends, the well-connected, the wealthy, certainly not the people that I see every day in Georgia.
Ooh, Lord, that ticked off a little petulant child, the fake Christian. This is what the idiot posted on his Truth Social. Raphael Warnock was on Meet the Press, Meet the Fake Press with a one-sided and very biased Christian Welker as the hostess. Warnock spent the entire show using religion to try and divide the country. If a Republican, in particular me, made those statements, it would be front page news. Actually, you mean 2 Corinthians? He ended by saying that he was going to his church to preach now. Well, I think that's fine. I do say, whatever happened to separation of church and state? That would be the first thing they would use against us, but actually it's something that never much bothered me. Yeah, because you don't go to church. That don't bother you. Anyway, Warnock is a lightweight whose wife correctly states that he tried to run her over with the car. Trust me, your first wife accused you of raping her. Oh, I guess we forgot. Fortunately, she was able to get out of the way and only almost lost her foot. Yeah, your first wife died and you buried her at your golf course. Warnock is a bad guy. NBC News, which is second only to ABC fake news for being the worst, should be ashamed of themselves in allowing garbage interviews with untalented and uncaring people to take place. Well, he beat the person you endorsed. The public airways, which these networks are using at no charge, should not be allowed to get away with this any longer. Oh, you hate the fact that they let people say what they feel that hurts your little feelings. They should be properly licensed and pay significant amounts of money for using this very valuable public space. Thank you for your attention to this matter, MAGA. Ain't that something? Well, Warnock responded to the little punk child.
So Donald Trump just attacked me on Truth Social, claiming that I'm using faith to divide people. He's got a lot of nerve. Remember, this is the same president who literally had peaceful protesters gassed and beaten so he could stand in front of a church holding a Bible up. He ought to read that Bible that he was holding up on that day. That Bible says that Jesus came to preach good news to the poor. He came to heal the sick. He never billed them for his services. He stood up for the weak, the marginalized, average, ordinary people. Mr. President, my faith is not a weapon, it's a bridge. And I invite you to Bible study. Maybe you can meet the Jesus I know. In the meantime, I'm going to keep fighting for the people.
Now, some of you may be asking, well, what is Trump talking about? Well, his FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, they've been using that as a bully pulpit to beat down companies. In fact, one of the reasons AT&T and others announced that they're ending DEI is because Brendan Carr, who is the chair of the FCC, he literally said, if you do not get rid of DEI, we're not approving any of your acquisitions or mergers. Yep. That's why they're doing it. This week, Carr went before the United States Senate for a hearing, and man, he got challenged big time by senators over a variety of issues. This is Andy Kim of New Jersey. This was pretty good.
So when you're talking about all power vesting in the president, I just want to read this a little more, because you're saying not just that it is an independent agency, but you're saying that Congress did not want these technical decisions to be made in a haphazard manner or based on misinformation or short-term political interests. You specifically said it placed the authority outside of the executive branch for a reason. So you were not just stating what was the law at the time. You were stating the benefit that comes with the independence. So I guess I'm just trying to get a sense from you. If you don't think that the FCC is independent, then is President Trump your boss?
President Trump has designated me as chairman of the FCC. I think it comes as no surprise that I'm aligned with President Trump on policy. I think that's why he designated me as chairman. But ultimately,
do you consider him your boss?
Ultimately, well, President Trump designated me as chairman. I can be fired by the president. The president is the head of the executive branch. The decisions of the commission.
So he's your boss.
Look, the decisions of the commission are going to be based on a vote of the three of us right here. So there are some things that are different about that. And our decisions are going to be based on the facts and the law and the record.
You swore an oath when you came into your job, right? Does the oath have the word president in it?
Senator, again, I'm not tracking this line. What I'm saying is every decision.
Do you remember the oath that you took?
Yeah.
You swear an oath to protect what?
Sir, every single decision.
What is it that you're protecting?
In this job, we're based on the
Constitution of the United States. I'm just this is not consistent a
with
test
the Constitution.
Here. I'm just trying to get a sense of how you're trying to operate here.
No, we know he sucks up to Trump. Whatever Trump wants, he is going to do. And so what you have to understand is he is not going to challenge the right. He is not. He's not going to do it. And so what he also is going to do, he's going to use his power there to target, folks like Jimmy Kimmel as opposed to others. He's not going to challenge Fox News. What he's going to do, he's going to threaten companies like he did when it came to Jimmy Kimmel. And so when you see that particular post by Trump, what Trump has been doing is using the FCC to target companies, using the FCC to do his fighting, threatening these companies. Oh, I will snatch your license. Because here's what y'all got to understand. So I'm explaining to y'all the structure. So when you see NBC News, okay, NBC News is based in New York. Okay, Trump can't pull the license of NBC News. NBC News does not have a license, okay? The federal government approves licenses for individual TV stations, which means that you have owned and operated stations of NBC and ABC and CBS and Fox, okay? But most of the stations that carry their programming, they don't own. So when he says, I will pull the license of NBC, well, that can only impact the stations that own. So that's a sacred license, and nobody wants to lose their license, okay, because you're pretty much printing money. So this is how he is weaponizing the FCC to attack people. That's what he's doing. We have never seen a situation in American history where an occupant of the Oval Office is literally weaponizing the federal government to attack folks he don't agree with. That's what he's doing. It's all about vengeance. And this individual is leading that. Man, I saw something a few moments ago. There was a law firm that bent the knee to Trump. Well, so many of their top talent left the law firm That firm is now having to merge with somebody else in order to survive. That's what happens when you bend the knee to Trump.
And it's interesting you say that. I think I've said it on the show before, but there have been a number of Facebook groups that I'm in as a lawyer, and there have been lawyers who have been excoriating the other lawyers from these firms who have bent the knee, saying if any part of the populace is best equipped to fight back and is duty-bound to fight back, it's us, right? It's us who file the documents in court. It's us who craft the arguments to stand up for everyday people and corporate entities alike. And it's us, particularly those of them in big law, who go to the Supreme Court, who argue in the most hallowed courts across the country. So when you have the president of the United States brazenly and unconstitutionally attacking people's ability to speak freely, to petition the government, to represent whomever they want, then it's duty bound on us as a part of our job and part of our duty to the public to stand up against that. And there's a huge rift in the group of lawyers across the United States on whether they should do that. Because what it comes down to is a balance sheet versus your values. Your balance sheet says, yeah, you don't want to lose that federal work, so you're going to capitulate and let yourself be punked by the president of the United States. And then you have other people that say, no, we can't do that because I wouldn't want to work with a law firm that wouldn't stand up for itself, let alone for me. So that's what happens when you bend the knee, and I'm sad that a lot of my colleagues at some of these firms have done that. But I'm also proud of those who have stepped away and who said, look, I cannot be party to this because if not us, then who? And I think that's what you're seeing. That's why that firm is having to merge. I saw a note about that this morning in something I read about those two firms merging, and I didn't realize that was the background. But I followed a lot of this with the big law firms at the beginning of his second term, and that was the line in the sand. Are you going to stand up or are you going to cower? And we see the consequences of those who cowered, which is people leaving en masse.
One of the things that I think, when Cooney, that's important here, I had someone was commenting in our chat, and they were like, "Man, stop talking about Trump." And what I need people to understand is, we're not talking about Trump. We're talking about the actions of Trump, and the actions of Trump are severely hampering regular, ordinary people. And so, if somebody who's watching right now, they need to understand that when they attack law firms, they're attacking law firms for hiring black lawyers. They're attacking law firms from actually recruiting at HBCUs. They're attacking black law firms from having fellowship and internship programs to bring in more black lawyers. The story this week showed how there's it was a massive drop of African Americans that have been admitted to Harvard, Yale law schools. Well, I keep telling people, they want to defund black America. This is all by design. They do not want African Americans at these top law schools. They do not want them in these law firms. This is what their game is. It's abundantly clear. It's before our very eyes. And so for the people who act like, oh, man, you're just making a big deal out of this, no, this is what they are doing. These people have to be stopped, because if we just sit on the sidelines and accept it, they are going to completely destroy all of the institutions, the infrastructure in black America. And I'm just going to keep yelling it over and over and over again. Academic, political, social, cultural, and economic. All of it.
Roland, they don't want to defund Black America. They're actively doing it, right? If they don't want to talk about President Trump, fine. Let's talk about fascism. Fascism is a far-right authoritarian political ideology emphasizing extreme nationalism. That's what we're seeing right now. When you see the President of the United States control the FCC chairman, Brendan Carr, who's under oath to protect the Constitution, but instead is doing the bidding of our president, that's a scary sight to see. And I'm so happy we have new senators in office like Senator Kim that are actually holding people like these feet to the fire, because this is utterly inappropriate. But when we see people that are starting to challenge these First Amendment rights, when you see people like President Trump say, hey, I don't like what Senator Warnock has to say, so let's pull him off the air. And not only let's pull him off the air, let's pull the network that he's talking on off the air. That's a scary sight. That reminds me of the time I've spent in communist and socialist countries where there is only 3 news channels that are saying what the president wants them to say, right? So we have to be really, really careful in the United States because we are fledging towards fascism every day. The FCC is one of the first posts of defense for that. If we don't have freedom of speech in this country, what do we have, Roland?
Michael.
Roland, people who say I'm tired of hearing about Trump obviously did not read Project 2025. It's clear that you don't know that Brendan Carr, who is the chair of the Federal Communications Commission, wrote the chapter in Project 2025 that dealt with reining in the Federal Communications Commission. All this shit was planned. This is what happens when you don't read. This is what happens when you don't watch Roland Martin Unfiltered. When you look at the piece from the New York Times from July 11th, 2025, the FCC is pressuring companies to drop DEI. It's succeeding too. They talk about how they pressured T-Mobile because T-Mobile, the FCC is reviewing a proposed merger that T-Mobile was involved in. And then the piece from Hollywood Reporter from December 2nd, 2025, AT&T says it will eliminate DEI amid FCC's push. This goes to what you were just talking about. Brendan Carr and the Federal Communications Commission are reining in corporations, forcing them to get rid of diversity, equity, and inclusion programs if they want their mergers and acquisitions confirmed. And this is devastating African Americans. This helps contribute to that 8.3% unemployment rate, a record, when just 2 years ago, you had record low unemployment for African Americans under Biden and Harris. This is the consequences of elections. This is what happens when you don't read and don't understand what's going on.
Yeah, but folks want to act like these things are not happening. I'm trying to tell y'all, they are happening. It's real. And we're going to keep calling it out because I'm telling you, they are going after every single thing. All right, y'all. Gotta go to a break. We'll be right back. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Don't forget, support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. If you want to contribute to the show, please use for Cash App. Use the Stripe QR code. You see it right here. PayPal, R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo's RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Check some money order. Make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. Back in a moment.
Said the quiet part out loud. Black votes are a threat, so they erased them. After the Supreme Court gutted the Voting Rights Act in 2013, Republican legislatures moved fast. New voter ID laws, polling place shutdowns, purges of black voters from the rolls. Trump's Justice Department didn't stop it. They joined in. In 2018, his DOJ backed Ohio's voter purge system, a scheme that disproportionately erased black voters. Their goal, erase black votes and political power. Yeah, that happened. These are the kinds of stories that we cover every day on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Subscribe on YouTube and download the Black Star Network app. Support fact-based independent journalism that centers African Americans and the issues that matter to our community.
It's your boy Earthquake, giving Roland Martin something to do, because he don't know what to do. He from Texas. Ain't his fault.
Lord, white America has been having themselves a week. They have been going crazy over this article. It's in this magazine called Compact. It's called The Lost Generation. This dude, Jacob Savage, he wrote this here. And I'm talking about y'all, they just been going crazy. They've been going crazy. They just been going nuts. And so as a result of this, the EEOC chair, Andrea Lucas, who a fierce DEI critic, she posted this about saying to white men, if you've been discriminated, please call us.
I'm Andrea Lucas, chair of the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission.
Are you a white male who's experienced discrimination at work based on your race or sex? You may have a claim to recover money under federal civil rights laws. Contact the EEOC as soon as possible. Time limits are typically strict for filing a claim. The EEOC is the federal agency charged with enforcing federal anti-discrimination law against businesses and other private sector employers. The EEOC is committed to identifying, attacking, and eliminating all forms of race and sex discrimination, including against white male applicants and employees. Check out EEOC.gov to learn more and read our one-page explainer about DEI-related discrimination.
I mean, these folks have been going crazy. They have just been, all these white dudes, egged on by Elon Musk, on Twitter, because, he changed the algorithm. They've just been going on and on and on and on and on and on and on. Oh, my God, I experienced this here. And a whole bunch of these folk ain't got no talent whatsoever. But see, y'all got to understand something. See, these folks, they believe that white men are the answer to everything. In fact, that's super racist. I mean, Matt Walsh, it ain't even a question. He's an absolutely white nationalist, white supremacist racist. He was putting out these videos saying that's right. Oh, yeah, America is going to be so much better. And our society has gotten worse. Our society has gotten worse because white men have been excluded. Okay, if y'all want to watch the stupidity, again, listen to this fool in his lumberjack shirt.
The biggest and most important downstream consequence of this open discrimination against white men is that everything in society gets worse as a result. That is the second order effect that the compact piece doesn't really get into. It's the third rail, the part you're not supposed to talk about. But the truth, which everybody intuitively knows, is that things were a lot better back when white men were not being discriminated against by every institution in the country, but instead were running most of them. And the fact of the matter is that a hugely disproportionate number of our greatest leaders, innovators, pioneers, explorers, philosophers, and so on, have been white men. I mean, without white men, we wouldn't have airplanes or spaceships or trains or phones or light bulbs or computers or the internet or batteries or X-ray machines or jet engines or rockets or 1,000 other things that our society depends on to exist and to flourish. We never would have had a railway system or the printing press. We wouldn't have this country, which was founded by white men and led by white men and expanded from coast to coast and settled and built up mostly by white men. Now, these are all facts, historical realities that cannot be denied by reasonable people. It's just true. And while black women are encouraged to be proud of the historical achievements of black women, whatever those might be, and Asians to be proud of Asian achievements and Native Americans of Native American achievements and so on, white men are the one group on the entire face of the planet who've been forbidden to even acknowledge what other white men have accomplished, much less to express any pride in it, God forbid. Instead, our society set out on a campaign to punish and exclude and alienate this very group. That is their reward for having carried the weight of Western civilization on their shoulders. But white men, as it turns out, they're not just good at building and flying spaceships. They're also good at writing television shows and covering the news and teaching students at the university level and so on. In fact, in the aggregate, based on every existing piece of available evidence, white men are better at all of these tasks than the allegedly underprivileged communities that are replacing them. And if that sounds harsh, I really don't care. It happens to just be true. Allegedly underprivileged.
But it's not, and we know it. But remember, nobody watching this right now should be shocked. I've been telling y'all this for a long time. In fact, the late Jerry Springer, I saw this. I don't even know where this is from. This is literally what Jerry Springer said about where we stand right now in America.
The election of Trump as basically white America's last stand against multiculturalism. There were a lot of people that just see the whole world moving away from them. They see all this globalization. They see their kids dating someone of a different religion or a different race. They see gay marriage is suddenly okay. They see all these things happen. They see the music. They see the television shows. They see everything moving to the left. And how do they stop it? How do they stand up and say, we've had enough? And when you look at where Trump's votes came from, they literally came from communities where there are no Hispanics living, where there are no blacks living, where there are no Muslims living. So how did these people even feel threatened by multicultural America? It's just they want to say, time out to this liberalization of
this is why I wrote this. White fear, how the browning of America is making white folks lose their minds. This piece by this dude, Jacob, I mean, these white men have been going crazy. Oh, they have been losing their mind. I'm telling y'all, we've been saying this because they believe that white men deserve everything. These white men are so arrogant that they walk in going, oh, that's my job. It's the equivalent of them walking to a cafeteria saying, why are you sitting in my seat? I'm sorry, this was first come, first serve. No, this is my seat. Why did I pull up the cover of White Fear? I need y'all to understand, why did I choose this photo? I chose this photo for a reason. That's not just happenstance that this is the photo that makes up the cover of my book, White Fear. When I was sitting here going through, I chose it for a reason. And what was the reason? Because when I saw all these different pictures or whatever, come to my iPad. I'm going to zoom in on it. What this photo says, I want y'all to understand why I picked this photo. So when you look at this photo right here, you've got the U.S. flag, you've got this Trump 2020 flag. I'm shocked there's no Confederate flag in here. I'm sure it may be somewhere. You got the United States Capitol, and you got this white man, his arms are outstretched, and he's saying, all of this is ours. That's why I chose that photo. Why were they protesting the election? Because Donald Trump kept singling out Fulton County, Atlanta, Philadelphia, Detroit, and Milwaukee. What do those four have in common? 4 black cities. So they were angry that black people turned out and voted. And see, what we need to understand, what this whole deal is, the attack against DEI, what you're seeing with ICE and deportation, what you're seeing, all of this, y'all, it's dawned on them that, oh shit, we can't reverse it. If you look at the social media feed of Elon Musk, he is constantly talking about birth rates. He is constantly talking about birth rates. And see, he is sitting here going on and on and on. And what they're doing is they're so fixated. They're just like, they don't know what to do. They're angry. They're upset. Because this nation is no longer about whiteness. Why did Donald Trump stand up last week in Philadelphia and say, can we get a few more from Sweden, from Denmark, from Finland? Because they want to import white people. See, y'all, when you're not producing enough white people on your own, then you need to import white people. That's why they imported the white Afrikaners from South Africa. And see, I'm trying to explain to black people, you literally are playing into their hands. When I see black people shitting on African immigrants, and let me be perfectly clear, if you're an African immigrant and you shitting on black Americans, you should be called out too. But y'all do know they don't want them, and if we sounding just like the white supremacists, what do we sound like? Folks, I said in 2009, prepare yourselves because this is going to be a 50-year war. What they want to do is they want to completely destroy. They hated how white America responded to the murder of George Floyd. They hated how white America responded after King's assassination and the 13-year Black Freedom Movement. They hate it. And now what do you see? Now you see, what was the UC? What was the story this week? The UCLA story. It was in the Hollywood Reporter. White streaming and the folks who I think it was like 90% of the showrunners of these new shows since 2024, white men. So what you have now is y'all didn't understand. You got white execs who were like, man, cool, man. We can go back. We can go back to the way it was when we ran this shit. Here it is, right here, y'all. This 2 days ago. Nearly 92%. Hold on, let me get rid of this ad. Nearly 92% of the top scripted streaming series come from white creators. Women in leading roles slipped from 39% last year to 34%. This is the annual survey put out by the UCLA Hollywood Diversity Report. Look at this here. 91.7% of the top scripted shows on streaming have white creators. Even more granularly, 78.9% have white male creators. The execs are like, man, cool. Trump is there. We ain't got to do any of this bullshit. We ain't got to recruit women, white women. We ain't got to recruit no black people, Latinos, Asians. Yo, white is right, baby. We back in business. The corporations are going, oh, man, cool. We ain't got to go to that damn National Black MBA. Oh, the hell with the National Bar Association. Damn the National Dental Association. Forget the National Association of Black Journalists. Forget the National Society of Black Engineers. We ain't got to do none of that shit anymore. Because Donald Trump has said, yo, we good. So what's the downflow of that? You don't recruit black talent. You don't hire black talent. Now all of a sudden, the median wage of black people is going to drop. You already see more than 300,000 black women being fired this year alone. How do y'all not see what the hell is going on? Do y'all now see why I don't give a shit when somebody asks me, did I watch the Diddy documentary? Do y'all understand what I'm talking about here? I'm being clear. They want to wipe out black infrastructure everywhere. And these white folks are jumping on this. And see, you got to understand, it's a whole bunch. Y'all, look at this. Maybe this chart. Look at it. Share of all show creators by race and ethnicity. Look at that. 91.7% white. My man Howard Bryant, sports writer, he said, oh, you know things change because you ain't never seen this many cowboy hats on TV. What you're seeing is through mass media. the programming of whiteness because of white fear. When Cooney, folk better wake up, because again, if they maintain control of all three branches of government after 2026, the damage that they are going to wreak in the next 3 years will make the last year look like child's play.
There's so much to address here, Roland. The first thing is the chair, Andrea Lucas. I couldn't take that video seriously. I thought initially that it was an SNL spoof, but I'm frightened to know that it's not. Secondarily, every day I pray that God would give me the confidence of a mediocre white man. And still, it seems like that's just not enough for them. When we look at the unearned privilege that white men carry in this country and have carried since the inception of this country, we know that society has been structured to favor them. We know that they have a presumption of competence and power, and that leads them to the sense of entitlement that we're seeing now. And Matt Walsh, he's a scary incel. But that doesn't even shock me. What is shocking to me is that in his oratory, he wanted to go on and on and on about how white people are better at this, that, and the third. But he failed to mention that white men kidnapped and raped Black people, pillaged Black villages, eviscerated the natives, spread diseases. I could go on and on and on. So he failed to mention any of those things, but instead talked about how white men were the founding fathers of this nation. Well, yeah, because they murdered everyone else in sight. And then he talked about how it's become, painful that they can't express white pride here in the United States. Let's think about, Roland, what white pride has looked like historically. Oh, wait, there's an organization for that. It's called the KKK. And now, as you said, Roland, all of them have gotten the privilege and opportunity to unhood themselves on national TV. So the one good thing about this is that we can see the racism to our faces now because everyone has unhooded themselves. Quite oftentimes, they've just switched one hood for another. They've just put on a different type of hat, Roland, and it's really, really, really scary. The last thing I want to mention is what you were noticing about Elon Musk and his hyperfixation on birth rates. It's a little theory called eugenics that they're really, really been leaning into, which is the thought that they want to improve the white race by selectively breeding people. That's why they want to import these European immigrants, but yet every country that's on Trump's restricted list is a country of color. Mm-hmm. And so these things aren't happening by mistake. We have to pay close attention. They're not even doing dog whistles anymore, guys. They're straight up broadcasting this on national TV. All you have to do is pay attention.
I came across this. This was from Nightline. Someone posted this on TikTok. And it was when Dr. Frances Cress Welsing was on there. And she said something. There was a year that she gave that I thought was really interesting. Just listen to this, then we're going to talk about it. Listen.
Well, let me say this, that 6 million Jews were killed, and it was a plan to kill them. There was a Wannsee conference in Germany where officials sat down at a conference table and planned to kill 11 million. The Semites of the Jewish religion did not believe that anybody would do that to them. And when people began to talk about something is being planned to destroy us, I suppose then also that people said, oh, that's a conspiracy, nobody would do it.
Are you seriously suggesting that there is a comparable plan in the United States today? Are you really?
See, wait a minute. We have to see the thing that we're not doing and the thing that we are constantly avoiding is talking about racism. Now, let me tell you what I understand racism to be. Racism is a behavior system that is organized because white people are a minority on the planet. They are a tiny minority of the world's people. The black, brown, red, and yellow people are the world majority. That's right. Not only that, white people are genetic recessive in terms of skin coloration. You see, somebody like whose skin is white, if they have sexual relations with a black person, the product is colored. And there is the fear of white genetic annihilation. It existed in Europe, it existed in Germany, it exists here today. And this is why people, I mean, it's written about in the Washington Post, in the New York Times, in the Washington Times, when there are discussions that go on like this by year 2080. The majority people in this area of the world are going to be the blacks, the Hispanics, and the Asians. Oh my, we must do something about it.
Mr. Cobb.
Now, you see, it's the same discussion that goes on in South Africa.
Let this gentleman respond.
But let me just finish this quickly, and then I'll say.
You've had a good long run, but so.
Let me just say this: that if we understand the white fear of genetic annihilation, which was why Willie Horton could be used as a very profound symbol by the Republican Party to win its election, then we will understand what is happening to the black male in this society. The black male is the threat to white genetic annihilation. And so he is profoundly attacked in this society. And if we begin to understand that, we understand what happens to the black family. If you remove the father, then the son is wandering around confused, doesn't know what to do, will get together in a gang, and ends up being depressed, getting on drugs, and going to prison. And in the United States, in Washington, D.C., I believe we have the second highest incarceration rate, second only to South Africa. And so in South Africa, you have black men in the work camps and the women on the Bantu stands, and here we have the black men in prison and the women in the projects, and the male children going unfathered. Now, I say that racism is responsible.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
All right, so Michael, this one jumped out at me. And I've been trying to figure out when this was broadcast. Mm-hmm. And this is the thing that I need everybody to understand. She said 2080.
Right.
Okay, 2080. Then it became 2070, then 2065, then 2060. Then 2055, then 2050, then 2045, then 2040. Then it got, all of a sudden, I get 2039, 2038. And everybody was, see, when it first happened, folks were like, man, that thing is so far off, I ain't even going to be here. Folks said, ain't no big thing. But all of a sudden, that thing kept dropping. Now it's 2043. That's a 37-year difference. So when that report, I remember when the report came out, America one day is going to be a nation majority people of color. People said, man, that's 2080. Oh, hell. Now it's like, oh, damn. And like I said in my book, White Fear, what did it for me was when I saw the story and there were 10 states where the average white death rate was higher than a white birth rate. And that's when I said, oh, it's on.
Yes. So much here, Roland. I'm going to have to do an extended segment on the African History Network show about this. First of all, thanks for playing Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. I knew Dr. Welsing. I interviewed her 3 times on the African History Network show. She was a brilliant sister. She taught us a lot about racism. Racism is a system of advantage and privilege distributed based upon race that comes out of the ideology of European white supremacy for the purpose of preserving genetic white survival. Okay. And she learned a lot from Dr. Nellie Fuller as well, who's an ancestor now, who recently passed away, and Dr. Welsing is an ancestor as well. When you talk about birth rates and you talked about Elon Musk and birth rates, this goes back to our segment a couple weeks ago about that little punk ass Nick Fuentes. And I talked about how white people, the percentage of white people in America in the 2020 census dropped to 57%. Alarm bells went off because that's the first time their percentage dropped below 60% since 1790 when the first census was taken. So She hit the nail right on the head, and this is connected to Project 2025 with the attack on diversity, equity, and inclusion. You have to understand, Andrea Lucas, the white woman who you just played in that PSA, she's the chairwoman of the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, a civil rights commission. And one of the initiatives of the Trump administration is to go after white grievance and to position white people, especially white men, as the ones who have been discriminated against by diversity, equity, and inclusion, civil rights laws, etc. And all you got to do is read the article from Axios.com from April 1st, 2024. It's not an April Fool's joke. It's called Trump Allies Plot Anti-Racism Protections for White People. And this article talked about what would happen in a second Trump administration. And it said if Donald Trump returns to the White House, close allies want to dramatically change the government's interpretation of civil rights era laws to focus on, quote, anti-white racism rather than discrimination against people of color. Now, this came out 7-8 months before the 2024 election. Axios.com warning us what was going to happen. This is why elections have consequences. This is why you have to watch the Black Star Network, because we told you what the hell was going to happen. And too many black people, too many Latinos, etc., sat their asses at home. Okay, this is why the 2026 midterm elections are so important. Okay, we got to vote these people out. And in addition to Republicans not running and things of this nature, more right-minded African Americans have to run and seize power and utilize power when they seize when they gain it.
Matt, this was the New York Times, June 20th, 2018. Fewer births than deaths among whites in majority of U.S. states. Come on, switch, guys. Come on. Thank you. Right here. Fewer births than deaths among whites in majority of U.S. states. That was 2018. This is why these folks have been losing it. And so people need to understand the basis of the attacks. Their whole deal is if we can severely destroy or in a significant way dismantle, weaken black infrastructure, then it's going to be a long time for them to try to rebuild. That's what all this is about. This is literally about how can we, that Louisiana versus Cali decision, Republicans are sitting here going, ooh, man, ooh, if they rule in our favor and they weaken Section 2, we could wipe out 19 to 30 black and Latino congressional seats. Oh, wait a minute. We could wipe out black state legislative seats. We can wipe out black county commissioner seats, city council seats, school board seats. And that will cement our power. That's what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think you, Michael, and Win Cooney covered it far more robustly than I ever could. I think there are a couple discrete things I want to address here that I think are important. So the first, as it relates to Andrea Lucas and the EEOC, I have two cases right now pending where I represent two brothers in different parts of the state, both of whom were very obviously treated differently than their fellow employees, were fired, and they have EEOC cases in the Fifth Circuit. I guarantee you that I've had to tell my clients, and I guarantee that the judges are going to look at these cases hostilely, because they always do. Because what do they always say? They always say, oh, there's some non-race related reason that this person either got fired or had an adverse employment action, to use that parlance. So let's steel man this a little bit. Let's say white men en masse start filing EEOC cases. That might actually have a net benefit to us, because that means the courts are either going to have to determine and recognize that there is a large cadre of cases where people are in fact discriminated against because of their race, right? Or they're going to have to brazenly rule for white men and continue to not rule for black people. But what it's going to come down to is it's going to come down to, if you're recognizing it in that case where there's a white man who's claiming that he was discriminated against, then the same discrimination that we've been complaining about for decades and centuries can be proven the same way. So there may be a net benefit. I know that's foolishly optimistic, but legally that's what has to happen here, Because if you have people filing these cases in droves, then their cases should be dismissed just like the meritorious black cases that are dismissed all the time on the basis of we don't see it. It has to be some other reason. So, I mean, that's the thing I think happens with this. And I think this is really more rhetoric than it is a true call to arms for, white men who've been discriminated against. But the second thing I wanted to speak to was something that when Cooney spoke to, which I think is brilliant, about the hoods coming off. But, the hoods coming off, to me, it's not the person who was willing to wear a hood that concerns me. It's all the neighbors. It's all the people who live in polite society who don't have the gumption to come out and say that they're scared of black people or they think black people are mongrels and don't want to live alongside them. It's all the polite society types who are hiding behind the rule of law and structure and infrastructure, the Ryan Walters types and all these other types who are doing things like at Texas A&M, talking about you can't talk about gender and diversity, but I guarantee you they want every single one of those Negroes to run that football in your playoff game, right? Those are the people that are more concerning to me because that is the section of society who has always wanted to espouse these values and always felt like we were coming for their jobs and their lives and their women and all these other things, and don't have the gumption to say it. But now they're being emboldened to say it. And that, to me, is what's far more concerning because, to your point, those are all the micro decisions every day when it's the people on the local level that are denying you benefits, denying you the fullness of your citizenship, denying you the rights to things you should have, denying your ability to elect the person in your community you should be entitled to elect. That's what's happening. It's an erosion on all levels, to your point. And I think it's the polite society types we should be far more worried about because they're the people who are not as brazen with their racism, but who clearly espouse those same views.
And see, again, I need y'all to understand why. You're like, I don't understand. Why? I'm going to find the Robert Rice video and play it in a second, where he's like, y'all got to understand why he's attacking institutions. Now y'all got to understand why these right-wing folk, why are they attacking the colleges and universities? This was, again, this week in the New York Times. The conservative overhaul of the University of Texas is underway. The school has been brought to heel by conservative critics of higher education. It is part of a broader transformation at the state's universities. And then when you read this article, it talks about race-conscious decisions. It says state Republicans have passed laws to curtail what is taught in college classrooms and installed a new university administrators with partisan affiliations among a host of new strategies. University of Texas is one of their main targets. Same thing. Listen, they've done this with Texas A&M because their whole deal is how can we attack the institutions? Like right here, the firing of a Texas A&M instructor teaching a gender studies lesson after a student complained put the university at the center of a national debate over a crackdown on professors' speech. The instructor's department head and dean also lost their administrative posts, and eventually the Texas A&M president resigned. So what are they doing? They're talking about gender, they're talking about transgender, but they also are talking about race. And so what they want, so you got that going on. So they now all of a sudden are saying, oh, no, we're going to change the law. Faculty Senate, y'all don't have any control anymore whatsoever. And so this is how we're going to do that. Matter of fact, there was a Texas State, used to be Southwest Texas State University, Texas State and Black Mobile. Give me 1 second. They just decided they canceled a black book exhibit citing anti-DEI. That's right. They were going to have this. So after all the criticism, the story's been updated. It says, shortly after this report was published, university spokesperson Jamie Blash told the American Statesman that Texas State University will consider bringing the Black History 101 mobile museum to campus for future Black History Month programming. He declined to specify when and how the university will consider the museum. Khalid El Hakim, the founder of the museum, said he has not heard from Texas State University. So what they did was they actually banned him bringing this black mobile museum citing the state's anti-DEI law. So y'all gotta understand, the attack on higher education in Texas, it started in Florida. They were like, oh, cool. DeSantis, you did it, right. Now we're gonna do it. So y'all gotta realize, I keep trying to tell you, they want to attack the infrastructure, the system. They want massive control over all of it. That is their strategy. They do not want people to be taught about history. That's why they target the books. They do not want any of this stuff happening. And so this thing is so deep. It is so pervasive. And I just think too many people are just, man, that stuff don't really impact me. Man, I didn't go to college, so that ain't my school. I don't really care. You don't understand. This thing is so deep. And again, they are going after systems, institutions. It is all by design. Watch this Robert Reich video.
Why is Trump trying to fire you?
Well, Elmo thinks it can marry me because Mr. Trump is mad at Sesame Street for making fun of him.
I'm Donald Trump, and I have more trash than all of you, so yeah.
But trying to cancel Sesame Street, which has helped children learn to read and count for over half a century, is part of a larger plan. Trump is waging a war on the American mind. Throughout history, tyrants have understood that their major enemy is an educated public. Slaveholders prohibited enslaved people from learning to read. The Third Reich burned books. The Khmer Rouge banned music. Stalin and Pinochet censored the media. And Trump, like past authoritarians, wants to control not just what we do, but also how we think. He has embraced one of the mottos from George Orwell's 1984. Ignorance is strength. He knows that an uninformed public is easier to divide and conquer.
I love the poorly educated.
There are 5 facets to the authoritarian attack on our minds. Number 1, rewrite history. The protagonist of 1984 works in the so-called Ministry of Truth, where he's made to literally rewrite history because Big Brother knows that he who controls the past controls the future. That's chilling in a dystopian novel. It's even scarier in real life, where Trump and his MAGA cronies are making schools whitewash slavery and segregation, cover up the genocide of Native Americans, and erase the LGBTQ rights movement. Authoritarians know that if they can convince us our country has never been wrong, they can make us believe our ruler is always right. If they can make us forget how brave activists fought for change in the past, they can stop us from seeking change in the future. Rewriting history goes hand in hand with the next facet of the attack on our minds. Number 2, gut education. As Trump tries to abolish the Department of Education, he's also proposing to cut funding for K-12 public schools and to force universities to give him influence over student admissions, faculty hiring, and what's taught. As a professor, I know firsthand how education empowers young people's minds. We can't have a functioning democracy if people cannot deliberate critically about it. That's why authoritarians replace education with indoctrination.
Children will be taught to love America. Children will be taught to be patriots.
Instead of teaching students to think for themselves, authoritarians seek to instill blind allegiance and to suppress dissent. That's why the Italian and German fascists of the 20th century immediately turned their country's educational systems into instruments of the party. Placing a chokehold on universities also relates to the next facet of the attack. Number 3, dismantle science. By freezing university research grants and attacking the National Institutes of Health, the National Science Foundation, and USAID, Trump is stifling medical and scientific research. And his cuts to the Centers for Disease Control and the Food and Drug Administration put all of us at risk. He's also abducting scientists who disagree with his administration. Can you imagine a crueler way to rob America of the global intellectual capital that has helped us become the world leader in scientific research? All of this moves us further from cures for cancer, Alzheimer's, and HIV. This could seem baffling if you don't recognize it as part of a larger strategy. We all get sick. So how can medical research and disease prevention be political? Because science acknowledges objective facts. Authoritarians insist that the ruler is more powerful than the facts. As Orwell wrote, it means a loyal willingness to say that black is white when party discipline demands this. Another way to attack facts? Number 4, suppress the media.
As I call it, the fake news media.
From suing ABC and CBS over their news coverage, to threatening to strip network broadcast licenses, to defunding PBS and NPR, Trump is trying to silence major news sources. He wants control over what information Americans can or cannot get. A free press exists to question authority and help the public question it as well. But authoritarians insist they must never be questioned.
Don't ever say what you said. That's a nasty question.
Authoritarians want to consolidate state power over what the public can know. The final facet of the authoritarian attack on our minds also attacks our spirit, which brings us to number 5, attack the arts. The arts exist to provoke us, challenge our thinking, and help us see beyond ourselves. They're an important and independent aspect of an educated society, which is why authoritarians have historically attacked the arts. So it's no surprise that Trump is canceling grants from the National Endowment for the Arts, dictating what's displayed at the Smithsonian, and has installed himself as the chair of the Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts. To limit art is to limit free speech and expression. It's a crucial step that authoritarians use to silence anyone who dissents through creativity. Added up, these 5 facets of Trump's attack on the American mind render us less informed, less inspired, and easier to control. They empower him to divide us with hatred and fear, and they prevent us from discovering that we have more in common with one another than with the authoritarians who try to rule us. This attack on our minds reduces our capacity for self-government because ignorance is the handmaiden of tyranny. Please help spread the truth by sharing this video.
Tony, I wish people really would wake up and realize how serious this thing is.
Me too. I'm really, really happy that you showed that video, actually, Roland, because, to what you were saying earlier, I'm not even surprised about the indoctrination of Texas. As you said, it's a playbook, play off of what we've seen done in Florida, and what we talked about a few weeks ago with Turning Point USA and starting in high schools with the Club America. Indoctrination is going step by step. If we look at the 5 steps delineated, rewrite history, we've been seeing that done. They're taking the books out of the classrooms. They're gutting the education system. They're dismantling sciences. They've torn apart all of the, national institutes of health and all of the other healthcare agencies and scientific agencies that help us move forward and be the champions of the world in science. They've suppressed the media. Thank goodness for Black Star media and that it's not controlled by the powers that be. And they've attacked the arts, and even mentioning that Trump installed himself as the head of the Kennedy Center, and we saw what happened today with his attempted renaming. And so these facets have been followed to a T. And like I said before, we're on the cusp of fascism. Anyone who's looking closely at this, it's a playbook, play for fascism. Trump wants to install himself as a dictator, as a king, and he's doing an excellent job at carrying out these things step by step. So I think as Black America, we have to wake up and make sure that, again, we're making sure that we are assessing our political capital in these upcoming 2026 elections. When you say that politics don't matter and it doesn't matter what you do at the polls, this is exactly the type of president that we get. A lot of Americans are seeing now that it actually does matter. Politics does actually hit close to home. And if you're not paying attention, quite frankly, you have to be after seeing this video.
Absolutely. Gonna go to a break. We come back. Headlines with Brittany Noble. Back in a moment.
Quiet part out loud. Black votes are a threat. so they erased them. After the Supreme Court gutted the Voting Rights Act in 2013, Republican legislatures moved fast. New voter ID laws, polling place shutdowns, purges of black voters from the rolls. Trump's Justice Department didn't stop it. They joined in. In 2018, his DOJ backed Ohio's voter purge system, a scheme that disproportionately erased black voters. Their goal, erase black votes and political power. Yeah, that happened. These are the kinds of stories that we cover every day on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Subscribe on YouTube and download the Black Star Network app. Support fact-based independent journalism that centers African Americans and the issues that matter to our community.
Hello, I'm Bishop T.D. Jakes, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, time for Black Star Network headlines with Brittany Noble.
Roland, Black Lives Matter members in South Bend say the city's Community Police Review Board is failing to hold officers accountable. On Thursday, members canceled their meeting, further delaying a review after police officers detained a 14-year-old girl outside a McDonald's in August. The meeting agenda included a vote on whether to uphold the department's decision to exonerate the officer, as well as discussion of possible policy recommendations, specifically whether the police department needs clearer age-specific de-escalation training. Also, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement say they have data showing deportations of people from African countries are on pace to nearly triple this year. The report also finds that some deportees have been sent to countries where they have no personal ties, often facing dangerous and deplorable conditions. Organizers with the Movement for Black Lives say black migrants now make up 10% of the black population in the U.S. and more than 7% of all non-citizens, arguing they are disproportionately targeted. Well, new research from the American Cancer Society finds that black Americans continue to face significantly higher cancer death rates than white Americans. Black men have a 14% higher overall cancer mortality rate, while black women face a 10% higher rate. Researchers say barriers to prevention, screening, and quality care remain key drivers of these disparities. Well, after facing backlash for displaying black Santa decorations in his yard, Chris Kennedy is now taking his message on the road. Since 2020, Santa Chris has made nearly 100 appearances each year, spreading holiday cheer all over Arkansas while promoting inclusion and representation. He says his visibility has inspired other black Santas and Santas of all backgrounds to join the movement, reinforcing the message that Christmas traditions and holiday magic are for everyone. We'll have much more for you coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Stay with us.
If in this country right now, you have people get up in the morning and the only thing they can think about is how many people they can hurt, and they got the power, that's a time for mourning.
For better or worse, what makes America special, it's that legal system that's supposed to protect minorities from the tyranny of the majority.
We are at a point of a moral emergency. We must raise a voice of outrage. We must raise a voice of compassion. And we must raise a voice of unity. We are not in a crisis of party versus party. We are in a crisis of civilization, a human rights crisis, and a crisis of democracy itself. And guess what? You've been chosen to make sure that those that would destroy, those that would hate, don't have the final say, and they don't ultimately win.
This week on the other side of change.
Book bans, anti-intellectualism, and Trump's continued war on wisdom.
This is a coordinated backlash to progress. At the end of the day, conservatives realized that they couldn't win a debate on facts. They started using our language against us, right? Remember when we were all woke and the woke movement and all that kind of stuff? Now everything is anti-woke, right? When we were talking about including diversity, equity, inclusion, and higher education, now it's anti-DEI. All this are efforts to suppress the truth because truth empowers people.
You're watching The Other Side of Change only on the Black Star Network.
How you doing? My name is Mark Curry,
and you're watching Roland Martin, unfiltered, deep into it, like pasteurized milk without the 2%. We getting deep. You want to turn that shit off? We're doing an interview, motherfucker.
Folks, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, founded under President Barack Obama, which is now led by someone titled Project 2025, is proposing a rule change that could quietly bring back modern-day redlining. Right now, banks can be held accountable when their policies hurt black borrowers, even if they don't admit to discrimination. This new proposal would weaken these protections, making it easier to deny loans and harder for our communities to fight back. This story was done last month. Go to my iPad. This is Reuters right here, where they lay it out. And so it's as a result of an executive order signed by, well, you know, the twice impeached, criminally convicted felon in chief, Donald Trump. And so, again, look at this here. Requiring companies to prevent discriminatory outcomes in practice encourages favoritism and unfairly burdens them, according to the White House, a position rejected by consumer advocates. So, I mean, Matt, I don't know how many times I can say they don't give a damn about black people. They don't give a damn about protecting. They say, corporations, man, y'all can do whatever y'all want. If y'all want to screw these people, go right ahead, and we gonna let y'all do it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they're going to try to do. I think hopefully 28 U.S.C. Section 1981, which protects your rights to contract and to engage in business and to not be discriminated in those contracts, is going to stay on the books, and you can call your friendly civil rights lawyer to file a lawsuit on your behalf, even if CFPB is not going to stand up for you. I mean, from an infrastructural standpoint, this is part and parcel with what we've talked about all night. They're attacking everything and trying to find every way to undermine people's ability to vindicate their rightful claims, right? Where you've gone into a store, you've gone somewhere, you try to get a mortgage, you try to get an auto loan, and the lender has discriminated against you and not against some white person, applying. There actually has to be some kind of recourse, and hopefully with 1981 and some other sections that they'll be able to continue to do that. But this is stupid. I don't understand why you would even want to die on this hill, but we see that Republicans and MAGA, all these people are doing everything that they can to erode all protections, unless it's a white guy who's being discriminated against, as we've spoken about earlier in this case.
Well, one of the things that they've done, Michael, is they have absolutely tried to gut the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. They tried to get rid of it through the Supreme Court. That didn't work. And they've been letting companies off the hook, just dismissing cases, not paying fines, and screwing customers, screwing regular everyday workers.
Yeah, and this is, once again, the consequences of elections is something that we warn people about. And what's taking place here is, Donald Trump signed an executive order targeting disparate impact liability as well. So that plays a part in this. The Legal Defense Fund did a press release about the negative impact that this rule change would have, especially on African Americans. And they talked about how this deals with disparate impact, deals with the legal framework that is long served at identifying and addressing discrimination that hides in plain sight, things that are very subtle, embedded in the structures of lending, hiring, housing, education, policing, and healthcare. So this has wide-ranging implications, okay? This also is in that same vein of the attack on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And as you talk about, Roland, defunding Black America. Okay, so this would bring back redlining, which still exists in some areas, right? But this would be catastrophic if this goes through. So this is something else that we have to fight and educate people on. But once again, one of the things that we miss oftentimes is understanding how to assess, to protect gains that have been made. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is something that's very important. No, it's not perfect, but it's been beneficial to African Americans. So when we vote, whether it's for the House of Representatives, for the Senate, for president, we have to do an assessment, a systems analysis of gains that we have made that are at risk if the wrong people get in power.
Well, again, what we see here, they just do not, they believe, Donald Trump and MAGA believes, Win Cooney, that the people being discriminated against are white. And we're not going to offer any protections whatsoever if you're black and if you're brown. We do not care.
It's similar to what we saw with the Black Lives Matter movement. And when we had to counter and say the reason why you can't say all lives matter is because black people are the ones that are being disproportionately affected. It's similar here. We don't have to say that black people have continued to be disproportionately affected by illegal financing practices, redlining, not being able to get a mortgage, getting higher insurance rates, getting higher mortgage rates. All of these things have been inherently baked into the American economy. So when we have things like the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau that are created to help protect, black and brown people from continuing to succumb to these financial mispractices, and then you have someone like Russ Voigt, who's the Project 2025 architect that's now running this organization, you see that that's been effectively co-opted. But it's extremely important that we realize that without these protections, we're moving back into the early 1900s, into the 1800s, where black people couldn't get a fair mortgage, when black people couldn't live in communities with their white neighbors, when black people couldn't send their students to certain universities. So I think what we're seeing is with this Make America Great Again slogan, they're trying to roll back the times. They're trying to take us back to a time where black people and white people were not equal in the United States of America. And the more we learn that this is happening, the more we need to be acutely aware of it and put an end to it.
When I say Jim Crow 2.0, that's not an overstatement, Matt. People have to understand what that means. Again, when you start stripping away the protections, if you strip away protections on voting rights, stripping away protections on civil rights, which both impact economic rights, that's Jim Crow 2.0.
Yeah, it is. And I'm really glad you say that, because I think a lot of times with both the media and people talking about these issues try to compartmentalize them, right? And say the effect of this one law being repealed or rescinded or affected in some way is going to affect this one discrete aspect of life. But the reality is it is a full frontal assault on all aspects of life to make life worse for black people by not only devaluing black people, but by leveraging the infrastructure to put people in on things like the library boards. I mean, we've talked about it here, but it's been a huge issue in this community. The literal library boards, who's sitting on the library board, what book is being put in, all of that is, as Michael always says, it's part of a, Project 2025 and a larger assault on every aspect of it. And I want to correct myself earlier. I said the wrong number. It's 42 USC 1981. But the point is, look, if the judges aren't going to honor the law, if people are going to get the ability to bring non-meritorious cases, including Trump himself bringing an FTCA case for being prosecuted where that case would be thrown out for any other person, it's just a matter of playing the game however you want so that you ultimately win is ultimately what we're seeing. And I think it is going to usher in Jim Crow 2.0. And I think, as I said earlier, it's all the polite society citizens who are on board with that that's making it a much bigger issue, because there's not a moral question in the way it was framed during, I think, the thick of the civil rights movement. There's still the same moral issue, but it isn't being framed the same way by as many people. Because part of it is, you've got all these people at all levels of white society primarily who are on board with this, and they're not seeing people getting hosed down in the streets the same way, but they are seeing people continue to have their rights eroded and continue to have things like redlining happening in 2025. So it's a full frontal assault, and I think we have to look at how all of these parts coalesce together to make a worse quality of life for us.
And again, on this point, I need people to understand what is going on here. And really, I'm talking about folks, y'all got to get this. And we can't just keep just walking around like, all right, man, this really ain't no big deal. Yeah, y'all saying this here. This is what has to be shared. There's a complete downflow to all of this. It's a complete downflow. It goes top to bottom. It goes top to bottom. And if you do not have a political change, which then leads to a judicial change, then you have all of the systems at one time firing against folks. And that's the piece, Win Cooney, I need folk to get. This is happening. The pieces are firing. They're firing. Michael, they're firing. Matt, they're firing. And if you see the attack on the legal, because they want to limit the legal folks from being able to sue, now folks are like, yeah, we can't take that case because if we take your case, they're going to come after us. They're going to lose our other clients. And so when the lawyers are afraid, when the media is afraid, well, hell, Michael, I don't know who you got left. Who else, beyond legal and media, who really are the watchdogs?
Yeah, well, you have activists, but
the activists, but media has to cover what the activists do.
The activists do.
Otherwise, you could just be yelling, and then the lawyers also file cases on behalf of the activists.
Right. No, I understand it's all connected, and unfortunately, a lot of activists don't understand how law works or politics, for that matter. Yeah, this is why we have to keep educating people and building power, and also leveraging our economics to enforce our political agenda. So all of this is connected. The tariffs. There was an article from blackenterprise.com that I was reading and that I shared on my social media that deals with how Trump's tariffs have stymied black business growth. Well, you had black economic empowerment gurus or whatever the hell they want to call themselves that were telling black people, you don't have to vote. You just have to build businesses and do like the Asians do and invest in the stock market or things like this, right? Well, all this is being attacked. The tariffs are drastically hurting African-American owned businesses to the point where they have to shut down. And then you have 8.3% unemployment rate for African-Americans, right? We're about to lose 22 million, about to lose the Affordable Care Act subsidies. So there are going to be a lot of black people walking around with no health insurance, okay, as well as white people. It's going to devastate red America. It's going to devastate these former Confederate states. So we have to understand politics is the legal distribution of scarce wealth, power, and resources, and impacts every aspect of our lives. So today's show is like extremely, extremely important. I hope people go research and read these articles that we're talking about and that you're showing, Roland. And I haven't watched the Diddy documentary either. I really don't plan to. I got too much damn research to do dealing with factual things that are happening that are kicking our ass to deal with Diddy or 50 Cent.
We literally are facing dire consequences, so I just need people to understand. All right, folks. Matt, what you doing this weekend?
I'm continuing to enjoy the holiday season, and I'm waiting for you to run all over y'all the same way you ran from having to talk to me after we beat y'all.
Oh, no. I didn't run from you.
A golf tournament.
I did want to show you. No, actually, I was
show up when I have to
I was actually traveling, but I did want to show you this here, Matt, because I thought it was pretty cool. It's been a busy week because last week.
Go ahead and play it already, man. Quit with the setup. Let's get to it.
No, I'm just saying. So I don't know if you were aware, Matt. I don't know if you were aware that the Texas A&M women's volleyball team, upset the number one team in the country, Nebraska. They hadn't lost a game all season, and they got upset on their home court. So it was an amazing game. It was really a fascinating game. And then after that, Wisconsin played Texas in Austin. Y'all lost. So, because there was a bunch of people who were talking about, it could be a national, A&M versus Texas national championship. Yeah, we made it. Y'all didn't. And then, of course, last night, Matt, let me show you this for you, Matt, right here. This was the winning point. Go ahead and watch this, Matt. What?
It's going to be a free ball back to the Aggies. Matty Walk in the middle. A place they've never gone before.
So that was a point that put Texas A&M volleyball in the national championship game. So looking forward to that. Then, of course, tomorrow at noon Eastern, it's going to be Miami, the Hurricanes playing A&M in Kyle Field. So your Longhorns playing this weekend?
I wanted to ask you, who would you say is the most celebrated college coach of all time? That'd be Nick Saban, right?
No, I'm asking. I'm asking.
Y'all have to pipe in crowd noise at
I'm
Kyle
asking.
Field?
Actually, that's a lie. That's a lie. I'm asking. No, that's a lie.
Nick
That's a
Saban
lie.
says it.
No, first of all,
Truth, right?
Nick Saban says a lot of bullshit that's not true. But again, are y'all playing this weekend?
We are not playing this weekend.
Oh, and I do appreciate. I'm sure it was planned. I do appreciate you wearing your Howard Bison shirt.
I did wear that because I knew you were going to say something.
Yeah, because it hasn't really made an appearance often on this show. Win Cooney, you may not be aware, but Matt didn't even go to that little school in Austin. But he reps them like he did. He's always like, oh, I grew up there. My parents met there, all that sort of stuff. So he's always repping Texas Longhorns. And rarely is he repping Howard Bison. So we appreciate Matt actually repping the school where he got his undergraduate degree from. So
what I'm hearing.
Hold on 1 second.
You're against hold on. You're against
No.
Seems to be a problem.
No, actually, I would think you have black love for your college.
I do. I have great, deep, abiding love for alma mater. But really, I also have abiding love for accountability, which is why I show up when I lose, unlink you, who just happens to...
Hold up. You stop. Hey, Matt.
I don't know.
I can't help... Matt, I can't help it that I'm in great demand.
Oh, here we go.
I mean,
I'm at a disadvantage on this show because your mic is like predominant over mine. But what it comes down to, Roland, is
it's not. I literally
whipped that tail.
If I'm correct,
undefeated,
and I was correct, and we're in the playoffs, and you're not. Matter of fact, I don't know if you heard the news. I saw this here. Let me go ahead and pull that back up, because y'all had to fire y'all defensive coordinator. Y'all suck so bad. Did you know that? Will Muschamp is coming back. Did you know that?
I don't know. I saw Mike Elko crying after the game, so you know.
All right, yeah, okay, all right. But, y'all had to fire your defensive leadership because they suck. So it's going to be a great weekend watching Texas A&M beat the Miami Hurricanes. And I'm sure Matt will be sitting in front of his television watching because ain't like he got a school to look at this weekend.
I'm going to text you the moment y'all get that L, and you're going to cry about your offensive coordinator.
Matt ain't got no. First of all, Colin Klein took the job. Let me shout the brother out. Colin Klein took the job as a Kansas State head coach, so his ass gone, praise the Lord. So let me go ahead and shout out my man. We got a new offensive coordinator. He got promoted. He's a brother. Y'all don't know nothing about that in Texas because y'all don't promote brothers.
I know you not talking.
Here we go, right here. Let me shout out Holman Wiggins, who was a new offensive coordinator at Texas A&M. So he's going to do a great job tomorrow. So, Matt, I'm sure you will appreciate watching a Texas team play in the college football playoffs, but it will not be your institution. All right, Win Cooney, Matt. Michael, I appreciate it. I can't wait on Monday to see the Texas A&M women win the national championship in volleyball. Game is tomorrow. That's going to be great. And then, of course, watch football game tomorrow as well. So there we go. So at Howard Bison, yeah, y'all should be. Go ahead, take a solo shot of Matt, so y'all can actually see, because you don't see this often. No, go solo. Come on, give me a solo shot. Drop the lower third. Drop the lower third.
Go ahead.
Drop the lower third.
Go ahead.
Y'all take a screenshot of that HU, but we know the real HU is Hampton. All right, so there we go.
Cut the cameras.
Just wrong.
What? I'm sorry. Did I say something?
Come on, man. Don't do that. You don't got to get that petty with it.
Yeah.
Cut the camera. It's just brutal. Diabolical.
What's something wrong with
all I know is half of the people on the screen are Howardites. That's all I know. So I can't speak on Hampton.
Well, I mean, I got two Hampton people who are in the control room. I got people.
I don't see.
So I mean, that's what I'm saying. So I don't really care. Y'all go back and forth. It don't even matter. But I'm just simply saying. So y'all be all right. Y'all be all right.
You talk a lot of noise for a man whose college is out there with the hogs and the horns out in the middle of nowhere. So I don't even think College Station really.
I'm sorry. You're complaining about hogs and cows, and you're literally the bison.
Which is a buffalo. That's not the point. The point is, y'all out in the middle of nowhere. And we beat y'all head up.
Hold on. Let me help you out. Let me help you out. You say we're out in the middle of nowhere.
But let's stay
when you got 78,000 students, you kind of need some space. I'm just saying. So there we go. So again, enjoy your Poulan Weed Eater Bowl or wherever y'all going. I'm not sure. It's I don't know. Is it the M&M Bowl, the Tic Tac Bowl?
I'm just saying. When the U runs all over y'all this weekend,
are y'all going down?
I want you to wear a Miami.
Where y'all playing? Are y'all
Friday.
playing in Shreveport? Oh no, are y'all the Citrus Bowl? You know what? Nobody cares. They only care about the playoffs, and y'all not there. Okay, all right, there we go. So that's it. Y'all have a good weekend, good holidays, and Matt will sure to wreck it for you with Texas A&M wins. All right, with Cooney, Matt, and Mike, appreciate it. Thanks. Saw horns off. There we go, folks. If you want to support the work that we do, please join our Bring the Funk fan club. If you want to contribute via Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. You see it right here, bottom left-hand corner. Use that for credit cards as well. PayPal's R Martin Unfiltered, Venmo's RM Unfiltered, Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Checks and money order, make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. Get my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds, available bookstores nationwide. Get the audio version I read on Audible. Also, you want to get our Roland Martin Unfiltered Black Star Network swag? Go to shopblackstarnetwork.com. It's all there. And, of course, all these black-owned products you see to my left right here, all of this, you name it, we got it. All kinds of stuff. Support black-owned businesses. It's not too late. Christmas is a week away. Support the businesses. Shop blackstarnetwork.com. Download Fanbase. And also, they've extended the investment. So $16.4 million has been raised for Fanbase. $16.4 million has been raised. $600,000 left. Go to startengine.com for more. Startengine.com/Fanbase for more information. Folks, that's it. I'll see y'all. No, actually, I'll see y'all on the first Monday in January. I go on vacation, but Brittany Noble's going to be holding it down, bringing us all the great news and information right here on the Black Star Network. So y'all have a good one. Holla!